My name's Judy Richmond and I'm the branch president, so the Tasmanian state president of HACSU. I felt a bit like I was not a fraud, but a bit when I first started. I can remember sitting next to the ANF lady at the women's dinner in Hobart, and I thought, I didn't know much about it. It's been really interesting. I couldn't imagine my life without having this angle. I've sat next to Penny Wong, I've had a meeting in Latrobe, an evening meal with Julia Gillard when she was Shadow Minister for Health, and it's lovely talking to people at that level. She was amazing. She came to the ALP conference. She stood as Shadow Minister for Health, knew all the issues. She didn't even have speaking notes. We were so impressed with her knowledge, her intelligence. She's got a delightful sense of humour. I loved theatre. I loved emergency nursing and intensive care. Emergency nursing was my specialty. I loved theatre for a start because you could see anatomy. Like I can remember the first time I ever saw an Achilles tendon, how it's just like a rope, and you'd see some frayed bits or complete tear, but the best thing I saw was the spinal cord. And you could see it pulsating. The neurologist in the Royal Melbourne had just used a little hook to show us his spinal cord. He was doing a laminectomy, and it's like one of those shells with that opalescent sort of pink, and had that shine on it, and it was just a beautiful structure. Oh, well, I think the best thing was the theatre strike. That was my favourite. Having a theatre strike because we had to work 12 days in a row before we got days off because we were classified day workers, and the on-call didn't factor into it. And we decided enough's enough. We wanted to be shift workers, and it ended up with we first of all didn't want to. We refused to work on elective patients. And Paul Crowhurst, who was the Deputy Director of the hospital and an anaesthetist, he continued to admit them. And we said if he did, we would withdraw our services. And he continued to, so we just one day said, no, we're not going to be available with an emergency team. We had stopped working in theatre, only we'd do cleaning. And it was funny seeing the Director of Nursing and the supervisors all trying to do nursing tasks and recovery, and they were shaking, and we refused to go anywhere until the Martin Jarman, who was the head of health, came to Devonport and met us, and we stayed there until we refused to go home until he came to meet us, and he did. And I mean, behind the scenes, we did still nominate people who would be on call for any dire emergencies. But he came and he said, I never get to see my family. And we said, well, we don't either. We're all our on-call and days in a row that we have to work. And we got it. Became shift workers. So that we achieved there. But that was fun because when it started, they wouldn't let us talk to Mike Hall. We had to go up in the tea room and meet him one at a time. Then when we wanted to have a collective meeting, they wouldn't let him talk to us on the phone. We had to leave the hospital. This is before when we were first starting this action. We had all meet on the road outside the hospital. We weren't allowed to meet on hospital premises, and that's what I've got a photo of. We got the paper involved, and they came and took pictures of us meeting on the street. I played hockey for a long time. I was still playing when I was 55 and in masters and things like that. I've had broken fingers and toes. I had a fractured wrist I think it was because I was frozen. We were playing in Hobart in winter and I got hit with a ball and I ended up with a crack. But we were so frozen. And even when we got to where we were staying, they didn't have good heating. We were almost lying on the bathroom floor to try